Okay, welcome to Invite Sent. Hello, how are you doing today? It is Friday afternoon. We are having fun already. I've got a great panel of supremely amazing guests. As I'm rocking this really cool shirt with this sweet logo, bruh, and this pin, and just gonna make sure I charge my phone later with my sweet power block compliments of Women in Games International. We've got some great guests today. We're gonna play a little Overwatch later, and playing is probably not the right word to use because I don't know. I think only one of us know how to play it well. And we're gonna talk about a really cool workshop coming up on January 27th through 30th. So it's like next week. And I'm gonna bring in my amazing guest. I think I'm gonna put all of them in here at the same time and welcome to the show. Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Hey, thanks for
Awesome.
having us.
Yeah, thank you guys. So go ahead, let's go down the line. Joni, then Jen, then Kendricks. If you all will introduce yourselves and your roles and how awesome you are. Ready? Go.
Oh, how awesome I am. Okay. Hi, I'm Joni. I'm the CEO at Women in Games International. I'm going to be dying a lot on Overwatch. I'm mediocre awesome.
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm partnerships coordinator here at Women Games International. I used to play Overwatch a lot, but I haven't played in a very long time. But I have been playing a lot of Halo, so I'm hoping it's going to transfer at least a little bit. So.
I'm Kendricks. I'm going to be the coach of this round because I'm not able to play because of brain problems. So get ready for Coach Kendricks.
Let's go.
That's why I'm awesome. That's why I'm awesome.
That's right. Well, thank you all for being here. I totally admire all the things that you all do at Wiki, and it's just fun to watch and be on the sidelines and see the amazing things happening. Joni, you had mentioned a number of programs going on. I feel like the number is more fingers than I have and toes. Could you talk a little bit? Could you just mention how many programs first of all, and then if anybody wants to share kind of a little bit about those individual programs, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in 2022, we have built out a programs portfolio where we are running over 90 panels, workshops, programs, and initiatives, and we're very excited about them. In Q1 alone, we have our Google mentorship program. We have our Get in the Game program to get people to DICE. We have our Get in the Game program to get people to GDC. And we also have our Wiki Wednesdays focused on power leveling series, as well as our open world dialogue and our cheat codes podcast.
Okay, wow, and that's just a few, right?
Just a couple.
So
Just a couple.
it's 90 separate things, but a bunch of different categories. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
That right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Jen Kendricks, anything that you're involved in with any of those programs going on besides the one we're going to talk about heavily today?
All of them. No, I'm joking. That would kill me. No, I mean, I've been helping a lot with our Google mentorship program, which is starting in February. We've been designing an actual handbook for all of our mentees, which I think is really important and special. Jody and I had long conversations about how when we've done mentorship programs or we've done like training courses in the past, having that physical book is really important. And it's something you can reference like as you continue onwards your journey, wherever that goes. And so we've been working really hard. I've been making it look pretty, hair flip. And then the Get in the Game program, which is at the end of February, I've been going through mentees and looking at their applications and then getting ready and finding events for us to do in Vegas and all the fun stuff. So besides everything, those are two ones that I've been heavily involved with.
So, Jen, and I think this goes for all you. You guys are involved in more than just Wiki, right? There's more than just Women in Games International that you're leading. What are some other things, Jen? You're involved in Kendricks, Joni as well.
I think a lot of us just wear many hats in the industry as a whole, or have worn many hats in the industry as a whole, which is why when it comes to Wiki, we get to touch like all different corners of the industry, which is really cool. I think that it helps us to be able to see things from other people's perspective and get that story and experience that of what it's like to be in the industry to begin with as people who look like us. So, and others, like, you know, we're always reaching out and looking for more people to share their stories and their experiences with us at Wiggy so that we can continue to make our programs like the best that they can be.
So some complimentary stuff, Joni, am I right? Like just things that are happening in the space and within the gaming space, esports industry, as Jen said, complimentary outside of Wiggy. What else are you involved in? I don't know. How could you?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so much time.
Oh yeah, tons of time. Yeah, we were all just really sitting around bored all the time. So we've been trying to get involved as much as we can within the space. So I've been an advisor and a consultant for especially monetization or operational strategy or financial strategy with different nonprofits and startups and smaller studios in the space for years. And now learning to celebrate that and to not kind of keep that on the side burner and to say something if you're maybe, I don't know, helping with the white paper and you don't get any credit or acknowledgement on that paper. So I think standing up for ourselves and finding that space for ourselves and where we're happiest and we're the most excited has been really that representation that Jen was talking about is when you advocate for yourself and other people see it, that's when they start advocating for themselves as well. So we've been trying to find just all the fun things that make us happy. I know Kendricks has a lot of esports experience as well. So that's something that I'm really interested in. I've always been the fan side of it. And so I kind of wanted to jump more into how do we make an impact and how do we make it more inclusive. And so they've been amazing at helping lead that charge. And yeah, so there's a lot of things that that we're doing together, and also with even like Radiant, we're working with this really amazing program through Radiant, Radiant.gg, I think, and it's really focused on again creating that inclusivity and highlighting and celebrating things that are happening in the space with everybody.
Wow. So, and Jack in the chat, yes, we definitely like seeing this kind of content for sure. And Kendricks, just to kind of wrap all this up, the other consulting stuff you do and diversity, equity, inclusion, involved in esports.gg sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, so I'm the head of digital over there, which means I basically help run all socials, marketing, events, merch, anything that has to do with like the digital and physical properties is kind of like what I oversee.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in esports for over 7 years. And so I don't know really how to get out of it. Joni's like, we're all over the place and we're doing all these things. And I'm like, I physically cannot leave esports. It just like, not only esports.gg, I'm never leaving that, but just like esports in general is just like such a part of me that I don't want to leave. And I also want to bring it. Joni's really good at this quote, and I'll probably say it wrong, but it's lift as you climb. And so the work that we do at Wiggy is like the idea of climbing that we're doing. And then I'm bringing single-handedly, obviously, esports up with me. Like we're doing things to make it more inclusive and to support the industry as a whole, because I feel like when we talk about games, people think video games. They think like queuing with friends. They think, not necessarily team structures or C-suite positions at organizations. And so I want to like really help Wiggy elevate esports at the same time. So that's kind of like why I can't leave. And plus they can't get with me. So there's that too.
So is that a quote, right, Joni? Lift as you climb.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge thing that we do at Wiggy is it's not just about you getting to the top, but it's about you making sure that you're creating that representation and then empowering the next generation of leaders for sure.
Yeah. Kendricks, thank you. And Joni, yeah. Well, I really want to learn about what this amazing event that I signed up for, which I hope I can sign up for. Is it open to everyone, even people that look as interesting as I do? You guys can't see me.
You're so interesting. We are incredibly inclusive, and that was something that we wanted to make sure that we were really promoting, especially this year and last year as well. Is just making sure that we are all about creating these conversations for women, non-binary, femme-presenting individuals. We really want to support everyone, but also the allyship is so important to our organization and always has been. So we don't ever have a program that's not meant for every single person that wants to be part of that conversation. It just might be a little bit more leaning towards supporting women and non-binary and femme-presenting people. So yes, absolutely, everyone can sign up for it. It's called Stat Boost, and it's a 3 to 5 day workshop is what we've been creating on Wiggy side. thanks to a very generous grant you might have heard about from Activision Blizzard, we are able to completely run this program without needing to find additional sponsorship, which is incredible. And so we wanted to create content specifically focused on esports and how to get your career in esports and how to navigate your career, all the different career paths, everything from the legal side of it to the marketing side of it to, pro player is only one segue into esports. There are so many other opportunities to be involved and to have a career within esports. And so we reached out to our friends at Enlight, who that's all they do is they focus on careers in esports and creating that safe and inclusive environment. And so this is a 3-day workshop followed by a stream on Sunday. And the whole focus again is just really esports careers, how to empower yourself, having these conversations, and also just understanding and seeing the segues into esports on a professional side.
I love it. Can you tell me more about Enlight as well before we dive in a little deeper to the workshop, or anyone?
Yeah. Kendrick, do you wanna?
Yeah, sorry. My headset once in a while just decides to do Bluetooth things and it cuts people's words off. So sometimes it might sound like I'm not paying attention, but I'm just nodding along and then I hear silence. So Enlight came about, I believe it was last year. And the idea was there was no place in esports specifically to go for an education that wasn't at a post-secondary education, right? So it wasn't a university degree, it wasn't a certificate, it was its own non-post-secondary education process. And so the idea was they got esports professionals who've been working in the industry for a while to be teachers and to do guest speaking in the courses. And so the idea was the price point is a lot lower, so it's more accessible for everyone. They launched with scholarships so that people who were financially unable to pay for it, or for whatever reason it was a barrier for them, they could apply for it. And then it's a short, I believe 6 weeks the courses run for. Sometimes they're longer, sometimes it's shorter, depending on what it is. And you basically get to learn about the industry as a whole. And as Joni said, the really important part is people think esports, they think esports player. And while that is what sustains the industry, because that's the whole idea, becoming a pro player isn't the one job that exists. There's production and marketing and talent and casters and game devs and user behavior analysts, and the list just goes on and on and on and on. And so Eunice's programs over there are all focused on ensuring that everyone is educated to understand all the different facets of esports and how individuals can get involved.
Okay, I love it. You're hitting every point that I love talking and thinking about. So, Jen, what do you see out of this workshop that can really engage the gaming community or those outside the gaming community? What are you hoping to see? What are you expecting?
Well, one of the things that I really love about the things we do at Wiggy is that you kind of hit it on that, not everyone has to be a gamer to be involved in the industry. And so just being around other people that want to be in the industry and networking and seeing these speakers come out and say you can do it too, and here's how, that's just really empowering in and of itself. And then to see people that look like you or allies that are kind of in this space being you can do this too, and this, I'm going to help you, and this is what you need to know. I just think the whole thing is just really, really cool because it hasn't really been done at this level. I don't believe that Wiggy is kind of taking it on and really kind of making it. We really put our money where our mouth is, for sure, and put action to the ground and get going and really kind of think of ways that we can help people drive the car, get in the car, get the license to the car, and study for that test.
Nice. Great. I love all that comparison analogy. So let's talk about the kind of breakdown of the workshop. So I'm looking at the schedule here, looking at the website. I've got it pulled up so the people on the stream can see it if anybody's checking this out right now. There is, 4 to 8 Pacific, Understanding the Esports Industry. Eunice Chen. Am I saying that right? Yeah, with Enlight. And let's see, and somebody named Joni.
Yeah, she's a nobody. You probably don't know her.
So you're doing some intro. So Eunice is from Enlight. Okay, that's great. Yes. We're gonna go through this. Give me some fun stuff about what's gonna happen with Krista talking about the esports ecosystem and let's see. Yeah, let's jump into that one. She's an attorney at ESG Law.
She's an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
ESG Law. She's amazing. She's a powerhouse and a badass. And it's again that idea that you can be in esports and you don't have to be, necessarily an esports player. And so she has the legal side of everything that is happening and just opportunities. And she's going to really speak to the legal side of things, but to the contracts and to the agreements and to everything that you maybe don't think about that goes into, an esports pro contract or a team contract or an event contract or just all of the opportunities that are within the law side of the esports profession.
Wow. Yeah, that ESG Law, a pretty big deal, and I hear a lot more of that. Talking to a couple different, like creator type organizations who are helping, especially the space I work in was with youth, and the predatorial sell these knives, or hey, we'll give you 1,000 followers if you pay us $100 kind of DM stuff that's out there. And so yeah, and gosh, these contracts, these gamers and these influencers are getting, man, people are really taking advantage of people. So it's good to hear the law space really growing in the esports and gaming industry, and I'm glad to hear from her as well. So let's see, Kendricks.
I have a quick thing. Sorry.
Oh, please go ahead.
Someone in the chat's asking if you can increase your volume a little bit.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I saw it earlier.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool.
It's very delayed, by the way. The LinkedIn is
Okay.
nice and fun delayed. They have my feedback, plenty of it. But thank you. Yeah, thank you, Kendricks. So Kendricks, yeah, let's jump into. There's a business strategy and branding session with Trisha and Eunice. Looks like branding marketing, I guess. What do you think about that session? What are we going to learn from there?
Where is that one?
It's 5:30 to 6:30.
Oh yeah, the business strategy and branding.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah. I think what I go on about this all the time, and I know Joni sometimes gets sick of me talking about it, but in 2022, my goal is for everyone to be educated about what branding really is, because while it's something that marketers like myself are very well aware of, most other people aren't. And when it comes to like advocating for yourself and job applications and your presence online, like you are your brand. Like everything you post reflects back to the larger idea of what your brand is and who you are. I said this the other day in a call. I was like, your resume is just a really fancy one pager that talks about you as a brand, my friend. And so the more that people understand this, and the more that the concept of branding isn't just attached to like a team or a product, I think overall the better and easier it will be for people to enter into the industry. Understanding that when you shit post a lot on Twitter, that becomes your brand. You are a shit poster on Twitter, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that's a core part of your brand, which I'm not saying or advocating for or against, just that becomes something that you're known for, right? That's a branding attribute. And so I'm really excited for Trisha and Eunice to like have that conversation, and also the business strategy, which kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one. I'll be watching in the sideline.
And then on the next day, there's, Keisha Howard, Powerhouse, you got her coming in to speak as well. And then I see resume building, portfolio. I mean, Jen, why is that important? Why is resume building? I know Kendrick just touched on it, but I mean, I've seen your resume. It looks pretty good. So why is it important for the rest of us?
Resume, I think that resume is almost a dirty word sometimes. That like it's like, oh, there are so many different tips and tricks out there to like how to build your resume, what to do with it, and it really depends on what you're trying to convey as a person and how and a brand, as Kendrick said. So like for me personally, when I was building my resume, I wasn't, or my one pager, I wasn't planning on going through like the computer check throughs that many people go through. So what worked for me isn't going to work for someone who's trying to get into the industry that way. That's going to be a whole separate thing. So it's really important to talk with these, learn this information from directly the people that are looking at these applications and resumes.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I see a lot of great. What in the world, you guys? This needs to be out here a lot more. I'm seeing just some amazing people from Cloud9 and from HyperX and 100 Thieves, and Christina, wasn't she She used to be with Team Liquid. Now she's okay. And Boom TV, Gamers Outreach. This amazing lineup of people. I'm very very excited for this. Uh, okay, Joni, where can we go and register for this first? I think people need to know.
Yeah, so it's on our Twitter for sure. It's also on LinkedIn that there's a link that you can go sign up. We've created this really cool opportunity to join and to listen and to network and to connect. And then also on Sunday we have kind of an AMA stream on Twitch, so people can join and also like live interactive, ask questions and things like that. We also have a really cool opportunity where this Enlight program is amazing, and we are also sponsoring some scholarships for that. So if you join the program, you can register to get a scholarship to continue this education and to continue. This is kind of like the appetizer, but then if you want the main course, you can jump into that program, and I believe there's even a certification at the end of it so that you can just kind of be able to say that you did this program and that you have this learning from it. Our biggest focus was finding esports professionals in the space, and we did obviously lean heavily towards women, non-binary, and femme-presenting individuals because we wanted to create this inclusivity, and you do belong here, and we are all esports, and we wanted to.
Joni, I am esports.
We wanted to find a way to not only showcase all of the opportunities into esports and within esports, but also all of the people who have used esports to really power their careers. So when you have people like Heather, who was the first woman ever to be indicted into the Esports Hall of Fame, telling you how to interview for a job in esports, she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And having those conversations with people who have really succeeded within the space is so important to us. So I hope everyone joins. It is free to attend, but you do need to register, and space is limited. We are on Zoom, so we only have, I want to say, 500 spots or something. So we just want to make sure if you're interested, get your name in there. And it's only like 3 questions, like your name, your email, and
yeah. Well,
we made it really easy.
Yeah, register now. Here it is, right here. Yep, look at that. Name, email, and confirm your email.
We lied. Sorry.
Well, no, I mean that's 3: name, email, and confirm your email. Yeah, register.
Go.
And all the information's here. Great. So I definitely, if you're out there listening, please go to the Get Wiggy Twitter, and there is a link there, just a few scrolls down, and I'm sure you guys will repost again, but please share that. It is going to be a really fun event. I'm super excited about attending and learning and listening and hopefully becoming a little less ignorant. And, I'd love to hear some more stuff that's going on at Wiggy and more of this event. I think, Kendricks, you might have some other opportunities that are going on or some other stuff you wanted to maybe communicate to the audience out there.
I'm so excited to talk about my favorite program, and I'm no longer saying one of my favorite programs because every time I do, Joni goes, that the Get in the Game program is your favorite program, right? You might as well just say it. So the Get in the Game program is most definitely coming up. We just closed our applications for DICE. But we do have a second one that we're running for GDC, which will be opening up the first week. The applications will be opening up the first week of February. So pretty relevant. It means that there are 6 mentee slots open. The Get in the Game program is essentially a micro mentorship program where we take mentees to an event. Normally it's a networking event, and we teach them how to network, how to build their resumes, how to talk about where you are on socials, how to have those awkward conversations, what to do when someone's not being so nice to you and you're just kind of like, what do I do? How to set up good or smart goals. I almost said good goals. That's not the thing. The SMART goals for when you're at that type of event. And we basically, the 4 mentors that go, they walk all of the mentees through the whole process. And what's really nice about it is it's funded by a beautiful grant from Activision Blizzard.
Nice.
But additionally, we also have some partners who are, that wasn't facetious, that was just me coughing, who are supporting us for the Get in the Game program. Esports Bake Off, Razer, and Dress for Success are all supporting us in this. And hopefully there will be more in the future, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But what I really love about this program is, for me, when I started in esports, I was paying for my own way to all these events, and I was going by myself, and I was trying to do
Mm.
all the things,
Mhm.
but I didn't know what I was doing. And so for me, the reason this is so impactful is because it takes away that problem. It takes away the barrier, the financial barriers. It takes away the barriers of like not knowing what to do or how to do it. And it really allows these individuals to flourish and grow. My favorite stat about our last one, which was getting the game EGX, which was in London, England, which was super fun
Yeah.
and very cool, was that we had, after the program, 3 out of the 6 of our mentees actually got full-time jobs. So 2 weeks after the program. And then another 2 weeks after that, 2 more of our mentees got full-time jobs as well. So we had an 80% higher rate after the program, attributed to all the things that they learned while they were actually at the Get in the Game program.
Wow.
And it's a really
Yeah.
cool program because it covers the costs associated with getting there, and it covers, so it's the travel to the airport, it's the flight, it's travel to the hotel, it's a food per diem to make sure that you always feel like you belong in that space. But then we also have the, as Kendrick was saying, the consultation with Dress for Success to make sure that you know what to wear to a networking event, you know what to wear to, for instance, DICE. There's the DICE Awards. The first time I went to the DICE Awards, I didn't know there was the DICE Awards, and I was grossly underprepared for what you were supposed to wear to the DICE Awards. And so making sure that when you're there and you are networking with people, you're confident that you are presenting your best self, because that's when you're going to have the most success, when you network. And so it's really that opportunity. Esports makeup is amazing. Rosa has offered to come in, and she's going to teach people how to put on makeup if they're interested. So there's an opportunity to get the makeup, get the clothes, and then learn how to use the makeup and what to wear for all of the different pieces. So and then once you're there, having that one-on-one mentorship, it's just a really cool program that, as we continue to run it, it continues to evolve into whatever it is that people need it to be, to help get that first foot in the door and make that best first impression.
Amazing. Where have you guys been? You know, like how long ago did Wiki start?
2005. We technically
2005.
started in like 2003 as a
Mhm.
brunch, but then we blew it out in 2005.
And
And then we
become
just rebuilt
director?
our programs. I started as CFO about 2.5 years ago.
That's right.
And I have a nonprofit background, and
Mhm.
so I was just like, we can be doing so much more. We can be doing so much more.
Mhm.
And the people who were running it were kind of, they were trying to address all of the specific, things that we're also working full-time jobs. We're also trying to
Mhm.
figure out how to make this happen as a side project and a passion project. And so eventually it was kind of like, okay, take it and run. And so we built out our board of directors. We built out a whole new team, the rebranding, restructuring. 2021 was really a pivotal year for us. So finding as many programs as we can to address as many barriers as we can has been just our biggest goal in making that happen. So we always appreciate feedback too. So if you see another barrier that we're not addressing, like, let us know so we can find a program to tackle it.
Yeah, thank you for being a nonprofit leader in this space. It's someone I get to look up to as well, Joni. We are one of, you and I are one of the two of the 6 or 7 nonprofit esport gaming type folks in this space, so it's fun. Jen, anything you want to add here before we kind of get rolling with some gameplay and chatting some more? And Joni, you got to turn on your game so I can invite you.
Oh, sorry.
No,
It's
I
okay.
mean, just if you're a person that doesn't see yourself in the gaming industry now, like, just come hang out with us, because I'm, like, pretty much, like, there's room for everyone. You don't have to be a gamer. You don't have to identify yourself as a gamer. You don't have to. Just come hang out. We'll help.
Love it. Love it. Well, we're gonna still ask some questions. I'm gonna still ask some questions about what you guys are doing, the event, and obviously Kendrick said she's going to be coaching us. So your shot will be a little delayed for us, Kendricks. But if you see something we need to improve on here, then let us know.
I'm not really a great coach. I was a trainer, so I am very versed in taking care of injuries. I'm not so good at preventing
Okay.
said injuries. That's
Okay.
not really my skill set, but I will be here to support regardless.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's jump into a little gameplay here. Do you guys? Let's see. I went to the quick play role. Does it show that you can select a role when you get in there? I've not played multiplayer Overwatch because I'm a noob to this as well. And and we do have a question in the chat as well. Let's see.
Oh.
Okay, interesting question. What's your opinion for women being in esports? Can this be a career for women? And I do think there's a language barrier there from someone outside of the country. But that is for Kendricks specifically, and feel free to answer that.
Well, I do believe that there is careers for women in esports and gaming in general. I know that esports forward-facing wise doesn't have the greatest diversity, period, whether that's people of color, whether that's women, non-binary, femme-presenting, trans men and women, queer individuals. They're kind of lacking in the representation when it comes to forward-facing roles, and especially behind the scenes too. It's not a perfect system. I think women deserve to be in esports. I think that there's a place for women in esports. That goes for everybody. That goes for non-binary individuals. That goes for trans men and women, queer individuals. They all have a place. I think that not to be rude, but I think the question is a little challenging because I wouldn't ask that of a man. I wouldn't ask, do men have a place in esports? But for curiosity, yes, they definitely do. There's lots of positions, there's lots of opportunities, and we're working hard with teams, with organizations, with products to ensure that they're also doing their part diversity-wise and having inclusive language and making sure that their job descriptions are inclusive and not creating any unnecessary barriers. And there's lots of exciting things we're working on behind the scenes, so I can't say too much about the esports stuff, but I would most definitely keep an eye out for what we might be doing in the future with some really cool esports teams.
Yeah, thank you for that. And this is a great place to learn. Hopefully we can be a place where we can learn about those conversations. I do have some school of thought questions while we're here waiting about the school of thought between all specific gender or mixed gender events and tournaments. Where do we need to go from where we've been recently? And I think there's two schools of thought happening. The conversations that you've probably been on those panels and webinars about a female only tournament. Let's just use that gender specifically, and then a co-ed, if we'll use old school terms here. And why do we need a separate tournament? Because there's obviously a lot. I'm also in the sports world, and I heard NCAA made a decision yesterday about trans athletes and how they really just punted it down the field, pun intended, about basically putting it in the hands of the conferences that have no policy anyway. So it really no one's getting an answer. So I think it's just a really silly thing that's going on that we need to address more. And I'd love to hear any thoughts you guys have about the two different schools, or maybe there's more schools of thought about esport tournaments and how they're organized.
I actually love that question. That was one of my favorite questions when we first really started getting into esports. That was something that came up a lot. You know, we want you to be on a panel. Great. Okay, let's talk about women in gaming. Okay. Like there are so many other things I could talk about monetization strategy, about organization, about, but let's talk about women in gaming. Let's talk about women in esports. And so the idea that, having a women's only tournament was for sure something that I was interested to hear what everybody had to think or had to say about it, because I'm not a pro player. And so I also kind of felt weird having a strong opinion on something that didn't necessarily directly affect me. But it was, again, in those conversations of, we are fully inclusive. We want people to join all of our programs, but we are going to lean that conversation into highlighting specific issues with women, with femme presenting, with non-binary people. And so I also see the need for a women's only tournament, because it, again, gives that opportunity to highlight and to really showcase, but also create that safe and inclusive environment for women to compete, to learn, to grow. And obviously, I think how did you say it? Co-ed, thank you. The co-ed tournaments, the open to everyone tournaments, I also do love those, because there is a really cool opportunity to continue to grow and to continue to challenge yourself. So I know Kendricks has a lot of opinions.
I do have a lot of.
Do you want to say Dota? Do you want to say the word Dota? Or
Dota? No, I don't. I will later, but not now.
Okay.
I don't think any woman who is competing in a women's only league is like, you know where I want to be? I want to be in a women's only league. They're kind of like necessary evils at this point, because the problem is that the structure hasn't been there to create safe spaces for women, non-binary, femme-presenting, trans men and women, queer individuals to compete. And that goes like all the way back to childhood. So how do you solve the problem of, boys are encouraged to play video games and girls at a young age aren't, right? And so these leagues kind of provide that almost stepping stone to get better, to not have the harassment present, to not have the boys club be a bigger factor in your gameplay, which allows them to then transition to co-ed leagues, or leagues that aren't necessarily quote unquote men's leagues, but maybe perhaps kind of are construed that way. When you look at like the Overwatch League, for example, I think we've had one, I always say her name wrong and I'm so sorry, Guguri, one woman in all of the Overwatch League. And I know for a fact that there are dozens of women's only teams that exist that are dying for their players to have a chance to get noticed, to get scouted, right? That's why the tier 2 system was so important. I could go on about this forever, but
sure, no,
I think
happy to.
I think it's a necessary evil for now, until we get to the point where it's not a boys club for the men's leagues. It's not a men's league to start with. We understand that it's the highest competitive tier, and that we also stop losing that attitude of, my ex best friend once told me that women are biologically not as good as men at video games. And I looked at them and I was like, biologically how? Because video games have only been around for like 40 years maximum. So unless you can evolve that quickly, I'm really just going to go out and call this BS, because it's just not true. But like, until we lose that mentality, it's just not going to be a competitively safe environment for anyone who isn't a man.
I really appreciate these words. I hope people are listening out there, and I definitely there's so much comparison to sports that we tend to do in our industry, in esports specifically, and it's not without us trying not to be, because we can learn what not to do in the sports industry. And I worked in it for 20 years, and I still work in it, but the many times running youth leagues, we had we have no ability, because we don't have enough girls playing in this basketball league, to be able to have 2 different divisions. And I look at that as like, okay, that's a solvable problem, and there's some issues there, but why in gaming is online disinhibition so real that in gaming we struggle so much with this idea of the gender and the toxicity? What's different about gaming compared to so many other things, which I'd say it's a higher level, but there's still high levels in the workplace and in sports, in business. But maybe it's just because we're in this bubble. I don't know, maybe we're in a echo chamber. I don't know, but I just feel like it's just really bad in this space, toxicity, and what we're talking about. Any thoughts?
Jen, are you unmuting yourself? I don't want to speak.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts. Because one of the biggest things I hear consistently is, women don't have the experience because women don't have the accessibility because women didn't grow up playing video games. Therefore, which has societal issues as well. But I grew up playing video games. I've been playing video games since I was 3, and I still hit the bottleneck of, this space might not be for me because I don't see people that are like myself, or I don't, I took myself out of the running early because I didn't think I belonged there innately. And that had nothing to do with accessibility. It just had to do with how, representation. And that's why it's so important. So I think that I think there isn't enough data to even be making conclusions about women in the gaming space, because we've never even been acknowledged since the beginning. And I think that was, I don't know if that was I don't want to say whether it was on purpose or an accident, but I think that it's what happened, right? So I think having representation is really the only way we're gonna really fix a lot of it.
Yeah. We changed games here, so we got to jump back in because we weren't getting a lobby, but we were having fun practicing. So, but anyways, yes, Joni, you got some other thoughts? I'm sorry. This is always something I want to bring up, and I know it's like, gosh, why can't we not talk about this in a women's thing? But gosh, we need to. And so
and I think
Gotcha,
highlighting
sure.
that there is an issue is great, but also like talking about the solution, which is what you're gearing the conversation to, which is so much more important than constantly highlighting that there is a problem. It's really what do we do to tackle the issue. And I think there's a lot of really great research done. TL Taylor, if you've never Googled, please Google anykey.org. There's a lot of psychological research trying to figure out why there is that disconnect, why there is that, that first, just the negativity. And I think it's great to highlight that so that you can create the opportunity to have a conversation around why there's a barrier, so you can then create the solution to bridge that gap to solve the problem. So it's great to say, we acknowledge that there is a lot less inclusion for women in the gaming space. How do we change that narrative? And that's one of the things that, we're creating these opportunities. See all of these incredible women who are in esports, who are making an incredible career, who are making a difference, who are creating impact, and who are driving change. There's casters, there's the forward-facing people, there's definitely the pros and things like that. But then there's also the people who are behind the scenes, and there's the managers, there's the team owners, there's the people who are coordinating everything. And there's so many opportunities to be involved within the space, even if it's not a pro player necessarily. So I think having those conversations and acknowledging that there is room for improvement, but then like, what is the room for improvement and how are we going to change that narrative is what we're trying to focus on with Wiggy, for sure.
Well, we're in a little fun skirmish, so Kendricks, feel free to watch the stream and coach us on what we need to be doing here better, because we're obviously waiting for a match. I think our levels are so low as three people that no one is matching up with us.
Nobody wants to deal with us.
No, we're just so good. Maybe that's what it is. But hey, at least we can play some Overwatch.
Yeah.
Created by Activision Blizzard, which let's jump into that real quick. The Activision Blizzard grant. I know you've told me about it, but I'd love to hear a little more on this this show. If you want to talk about how that came about and how excited, crazy it is.
Yeah, it's amazing. We were very, very excited to hear that we'd been reaching out to work with them for a while. There's a lot of as Kendrick was saying, kind of there's behind the scenes kind of research happening right now as well, with Wiggy and with our board and things like that. So when we first received news of the grant, we were very, very excited to figure out what that could mean for women in the industry and the impact that we could drive with this. And we started really thinking through which programs are making the most impact, which programs are really driving the most change, and then what is it that we want to see happen with this, funding. And it's really changed a lot of conversations and allowed us to really develop different programs in a new way that we were always chasing the pennies to try and make a program happen. And now we can chase the content and chase the development of that program and really create, the space that we're trying to create and create the change that we're trying to create. So it's been amazing. We're very excited. I'm also a huge avid Warcraft player, so it was a little bit extra exciting. So whatever.
Let's go with that route. Kendricks, Jen, favorite games growing up?
My favorite games growing up were probably Heroes of Might and Magic, which no one's ever played, and I recognize that, and that's fine. Roller Coaster Tycoon, The Sims, obviously, anything Mario related. And then as I got older, I transitioned to Diablo. I've got a tattoo of
Nice.
the necromancers from Diablo. What else? I mean, my favorite game of all time is Dota 2. And that's why I got so excited. So I was like, I get to talk about Dota? No, I won't. But it is like my penultimate. It's my esport. It's my passion. It's my game. It's my love of my life. Can't quit her. Just can't. Favorite games?
My favorite games, pretty much anything by Hideo Kojima, I will play nonstop over and over again. So like any Metal Gear, Death Stranding, and then I'm huge into the Final Fantasy series. That's my bread and butter. So
yeah,
and then also Halo, obviously. But
yeah, you playing the Infinite right now, I hear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What is that? What, let's see, Kendricks. What about you? What game are you playing right now? Like in most or recently?
Oh, Dead by Daylight.
Oh yeah.
I used to watch it on.
Yeah.
I used to watch Trixie Mattel played it like I think 4, maybe 5 years ago, and I watched her on stream playing it and was like, I want to play this game, but it's a co-op game, and I have always been not a huge fan because I got a lot of toxicity and harassment when I played Dota by myself. So I was like, I'm not solo queuing by myself into this brand new game. That is not the move in any type of video game atmosphere. So I waited, and then about 1.5 years later, my husband was like, yo, have you heard this guy called Dead by Daylight? I was like, absolutely I have. And so I just like jumped headfirst into it. I used to be red ranked for everything. Now I play maybe twice a week, so I'm like middle of the pack, but it still ranks me really high, which is annoying. But yeah, Dead by Daylight. Ugh, gotta love that game. Anything spoopy.
Nice. Joni, game growing up, game now?
Oh gosh, so game now, so we're Warcraft through and through. I do love Gears of War. I'm a COG collector. I love collecting all the COGs, which annoys the crap out of my husband because he's like, let's just go get the thing done. I'm like, let me look behind this couch. And then Kendrick's actually got me into Dead by Daylight, which I was not excited about. I was terrified. I'm not a horror game kid, and I was very nervous about it. And then it was like, oh, I gotta win though, and so like that competitiveness kind of took over, and it was really fun. Other than that, though, I've got kids, so a lot of Minecraft, a lot of Mario Kart, and just Lego games. Lots of Lego games. Play a lot of Lego Marvel around here and Lego Harry Potter. So.
Yeah. I love the Lego game. My kids love those as well. We just got a Switch this Christmas, and we're having fun. We've had a Nintendo Wii for about 15 years, and I'm surprised it still works. But Nintendo Switch is great. But I have 3 boys, and I'm a little disappointed that there's not a lot of multiplayer games you can do with one console that are actually okay for their ages because they're young. So I'm gonna have to just make one, I guess, right?
Yes, do it.
I could work with the International Game Developers Association, which you might have saw. Renee is now back on the board.
Stepping down. Yep.
Such a great organization that she led. When she led the organization, it's still great. I don't know. I'm just gonna stop, but. Excited to see things move forward even more with that organization because that helps so many of us who want to play games, and especially being a leader that's a female. I really am motivated by the things she does.
And having that experience, it wasn't just I'm here to talk about how we should have a difference. It was like I am making a video game and I'm a developer, and this is very geared towards developers. I think she also built out a lot of really great content with the recent white paper that they co-created on, and also just the initiatives and making it more of an impact-driven organization, I would say. Yeah, she killed it. She was amazing. She's always my go-to person when somebody's like, I need to talk to a woman who is a developer. I'm like, well, let me introduce you to Renee real quick. So, yeah, she's really great.
Well, it looks like we finally got a match here, a real one. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know what character I selected, but we're going to have fun. And the people who are playing with us are going to be mad. But let this be our last thing we do here, and we'll finish up.
Die together.
Tough questions while we play, because this is kind of like the lightning round here. As we get into a game, and I make questions really, really hard. And while you're trying to focus on your gameplay, you get to answer these questions. Okay? Are you guys ready for the lightning round?
Okay.
I was born ready.
Okay. What do you want to do in 5 years with your life? Ready, go. In 5 years, where do you want to be?
Prepared.
What do you want to be doing?
It's not fair.
Mhm.
House in the mountains.
A house in the mountains. Okay. Nice.
Okay. I want lots more tattoos. That was easy.
Nice. Nice.
Totally down for that one. Yeah. Yeah, I think just want to see how far we can take this. I really want to grow Wiggy as much as we possibly can and just make the most impact. I mean, I guess the real unfortunate but fortunate strategy is to never need Wiggy and to not need to have this organization, which is hard to say because we're doing so many amazing things, but at the same time, that is the goal, you know?
Yeah. I love that terminology. I'd love using that as well for the Varsity Esports Foundation. Is I'd like to fund ourselves out of existence, and I'd like organizations and schools and communities to just be able to fund esport clubs in schools and help students in low socioeconomic areas that don't get the same access. So I totally agree with you. I'd rather our nonprofit not be in existence so that it can be just something that we normally do. Okay. What's your most embarrassing moment? Ready, go.
In life, in esports, in gaming, in
You choose. You choose.
Oh, I got it. Okay, most embarrassing that I still to this day, and I might have to give a little bit of an R rating on this. So I've gone to band camp many times. I'm a big band camp kid. And went to band camp and decided to read Lord of the Rings fan fiction with my bunkmates who are my really good friends. Yes, that's how nerdy I am. Anyway, so I'm trying to read this part, and it's like it's partly from the actual book as well, and it's the part where it says Frodo skewered a boar. And I, in my hastiness and dyslexia, said, Frodo, the word very similar to skewered, but not skewered, the boar. To which my friends never let me live it down. Like, to this day, I'll get messages being like, remember that time at band camp when you said the thing? And I'll be like, why? Why is this a thing? This is like 20 years later, and yet here we are still talking about it. So
Yeah.
That's like my most embarrassing moment.
Do you American Pie that phrase a lot? This one time at band camp?
When that movie came out, I was like, well, there's my entire childhood. It's just a joke now. Thank you. This one movie franchise. So good. Just perfected slog. So good.
All right. Embarrassing moment. Who's with me? Who's got something?
I have so many. It's mostly tripping. I'm incredibly uncoordinated, and so
not like you be tripping, but like physically tripping.
No, like physically
like
falling
physically.
down.
You be tripping, girl.
Yeah.
I
remember
say that next time you do that. Like next time you eat shit, be like, you be tripping, girl. And you'll just like look at me.
Nice.
But mine's always at like the most amazing times too, where like I go to trip and then I try to catch myself and I end up like taking somebody else down with me, or I went to present a award to somebody, and as they were walking up the stage, I went to help them, and I tripped, and so we both fell, and they totally probably could have made it up the stage themselves. I just would have let them alone. So yeah, mine's usually like falling down and hurting myself or others, or both.
You had like Jennifer Lawrence going up on the stage thing, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But with you made somebody else trip. Wow, you be tripping, girl.
You be tripping, girl.
Jen, what do you got? Got something embarrassing?
So I have massive ADHD, and
same.
I used to go to like a Korean church growing up, and we'd go on these like field trips and stuff, and we used to go to the bowling alley, and every single freaking time we went to the bowling alley, I would leave with bowling alley shoes. Every single time. I would, like, every single time we would have to go back. For me.
You just kept them on?
Yeah.
Nice.
Peek carefully. Don't go in the middle of the street.
I don't even know.
You go.
I'm just trying new characters over and over.
Me too.
Yeah, like, which one does damage?
What do I like today?
Yeah. Okay, so embarrassing moments, great. Okay, so it looks like we have 30 seconds here. And last lightning round question. What is the hardest thing you've ever done in your life?
Right now, this game.
don't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's the hardest thing you ever had to do? Most difficult thing?
Not many people know this.
Mhm.
I was 20. I was going into my third year
Mhm.
of university, and or maybe it was second. I don't remember.
Mhm.
It's been 10 years, and over 10 years, and
Yeah.
I got third-degree burns on 7% of my body,
Ooh.
thanks to a McDonald's accident. Yes, the same one that happened in the United States.
Yeah.
I was hospitalized, and I ended up like dropping out of school because I couldn't do the semester because I was very high on morphine for a very long time. Don't recommend, but was necessary at the time. And it was physically hard because it's hard to like move through that much of your body being horrifically scarred.
Mhm.
But then I also like readjusted my entire life. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take 2 years off of school. I'm going to drop out of my program and come back to do a different one. I'm going to move to go live with my boyfriend who is 2 hours away. I'm going to change my job. Like I physically my life just was like, you know what? Chaos. Let's just change absolutely everything at once. And that was like the hardest transition I've ever had to do. Yeah.
Rough. All right, last few here. Who's got the hardest thing you've ever had to do besides this game or that game?
Besides
That
the-
doesn't
yeah,
count,
yeah.
Joni.
I got so my husband and I have been together for over 16 years now. And when I was 19, we found out I was pregnant, and so I had a lot of people saying that I was going to drop out of school, and I needed to prove them wrong. And so I actually graduated with my associate's degree on June 27th, and I went into labor on July 1st. So I think that was one of the hardest things, is like really focusing, knowing that everyone was kind of against me. Like they didn't think I could do it, having that like naysaying attitude, and then wanting it so bad, doing it anyway. So I was taking like 20 credit hours just to get through it, just to make sure that it happened. And also being just physically and emotionally exhausted all the time, but knowing I wanted it so badly, and then just using that has really helped me like navigate my career, because there's always that naysaying attitude. There's always people telling you that you can't. And so it was like one of the hardest things I did, but then it was that stepping stone that I needed to be like, thank you for telling me no and that I couldn't do it. Because now every time I hear that, I think, no, actually I can. I know that I can, because I will make myself do it. So kind of contribute that back to get video games though too, because it's like, I think it's that competitive nature that it instills, is like, I'm going to beat this thing. So yeah, I think that would be mine.
Awesome, Joni. Thank you. Jen, wrap us up here. What do you got? Something really difficult in life?
I walked away from my 14-year management career with literally no backup plan to get into the gaming industry. So that was my thing.
How many years ago was this?
Hand out.
I left my corporate job in 2019. So I had 2 kids. My partner had I didn't know what I was going to do. I was just like, I just know I can't do this anymore. I saw where my path was headed, and it was like, I don't want to be in that management position up there. I don't want to work for this company. I'm just going to see what happens. And I took a leap, and then COVID, it was just, yeah. Wow. But that was the thing.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a really great time, a really great inspiration to hear these stories. And the authenticity, for sure, is very inspiring to me. And hearing from you guys about what's happening with the Stat Boost Enlight event, I'm excited. It's happening next weekend. I put some links in the chat for those out there. We'll take some clips from this video here this next week, and we'll try to post some out so you guys can share those, retweet those, and get some little good talking points and hype it up. I mean, really, if you just look at the event, people, and who is going to be a part of it, why would you say I'm busy? This looks amazing. It looks exciting. Any last things we need to know that you guys want to wrap up with before we finish out?
Yeah, keep up to date with us on social media. We also have a weekly newsletter. Please sign up. Go to getwiggy.com and you can sign up for our newsletter. Follow us on socials. We're really active on specifically Twitter and LinkedIn for sure. And and Kendricks is doing an amazing job leading that. We have so many programs, we have so many workshops, we have so many panels, but we always love that feedback. So if there is a barrier that you are facing that we don't have a program to tackle, please let us know, because that is our goal. We're also doing a lot of research right now. So if there's anything that you can contribute to us to let us know, we are here for that. info@getwiggy.com, or just hit us up on DMs. Our DMs are always open.
Amazing. I will tell you once again, your newsletter is an amazing newsletter, and that's a funny kind of thing to say in the world, that wow, your newsletter is so great, but it is. I've always said that. I reference your newsletter a lot to people, and I send a lot of people to go sign up for it because it just has really good information and a list of lots of resources. Especially, as we all do, we get a lot of questions about jobs, and that is literally one of the first places I'll send people. So. And then Hitmarker, they're behind you guys, just to let you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, they're amazing.
Well, once again, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for playing a little Overwatch game with us. And I'm glad we got to hang out on a Friday and just chill and just talk about what amazing things are happening at Wiggy. You guys stick around in the chat back in the room, and I'll come join you guys here shortly after run a little bit of commercial stuff. And I'll join you, but I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for being amazing. I appreciate you all.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course. Okay, thank you guys so much for being here this afternoon, Friday. Man, please go check out the Get Women in Games International website, getwiggy.com. That's right, GETWIGI.com. Gotta go check it out. Amazing opportunity coming up with the Stat Boost Enlight event. You need to go and register for it. Check out the Twitter. They're under the call sign at GetWiggy. I believe that's the way you call it. Or the account. Sorry, call sign is very 1990s. But once again, the amazing people over at Women in Games International is doing some really great stuff, and you need to check it out. I've been Bubba Gaddert this whole time, and I'll be Bubba Gaddert from here on in the future, I'm sure. Come back next time. We'll do some more interviews. We'll play some more games here on LinkedIn Live and other forms of content as we have fun in the esports and gaming space. We'll see you guys later. Take it easy.
Tell us what you have in store for the Empire.
You mind holding on a sec?
Yeah.
Yo, Mike. So what you think?
There's nothing more that we would like than to support all the high school players out there in esports, so we're in.
All right, man. I'll tell the team. We're going to Dallas.
Hey guys, just checking in, making sure you're getting close to our HQ.
Yeah, no, we're actually just about to pull up.
Oh man, that's perfect timing. I was just about to head down to the lobby. I'll see you there.
All right, I'll see you in a sec.
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. You ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's get out.
Varsity Esports Foundation. Founded in December 2018, the Varsity Esports Foundation was created by a group of esports professionals. Our mission is to create an inclusive, safe, and aspirational network of gaming communities for all. The Varsity Esports Foundation is a 501c3 organization established to offer financial assistance to schools and to provide a pipeline for students to reach their potential through esports. We have 4 foundation goals. 1. Build a network of inclusive gaming communities. 2. Create scholarships for students within these communities. 3. Ensure a safe environment for all players. And 4. Promote gaming literacy across the ecosystem. The foundation has funds for a limited amount of assistance to support schools with league fees and/or computer equipment. For more information, please visit us at varsityesportsfoundation.org. Varsity Esports Foundation, a pipeline for students to reach their potential through esports.